Alright, today I'm sending in 26 cards to PSA for grading. So I wanted to do a video that shows the process and in particular how I ship from Vancouver, Canada to PSA in California. This is the video I was looking for when I first started researching about how to send an order to PSA from Canada. I've done this now a few times, so this is my process. Not the perfect process by any means, so leave your comments if you think you've got better ways or there's just better, cheaper, quicker ways to do this type of stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about my grading process, navigating the PSA website, packaging up the cards, then booking a shipment with Canada Post in conjunction with US Postal Service, and at the end, I'll go over the final costs. So this video ended up being pretty long, so I've broken it up into a number of sections and added chapter markers and timestamps for making stuff easier to find. All right, let's start with the grading process. So I'm no grading expert, but here's my process. PSA recommends using card saver 1s, and I like to put a tea towel down as a soft workspace. And I use this grading lamp that I bought off Amazon for around 60 bucks. Let's look at this Kaliev Retro Future Watch as an example. Now I chose this card specifically because it has some issues with the corners that are easy to see. But you can see how the magnification plus the light on the card can highlight these imperfections. There's white on the corners, and the edge looks pretty bad too. So same on the back, there's white on the edges and on the corners. The surface actually looks not bad on this one, but I find the light really helps, and shining your iPhone light can work on it too. And so I've decided not to get this one graded. It's probably an 8 at best, maybe a 7, so it's not really worth it. And here are a few that I'm going to send in, and some that I might consider. But the Kaliev is definitely not getting sent in with this shipment. Okay, let's look at navigating the PSA website. So most of the cards I'm submitting with this order will cost $15 US per card. But in order to be eligible for this price, you need to be a member of the PSA Collectors Club. This will unlock access to lower grading fees. Currently it looks like a membership is $99 US. Mine just expired. And it used to cost extra living in Canada because we needed an international membership. This membership's good for 1 year. One of the perks is a yearly subscription to PSA Magazine. It's like a monthly version of the old Beckett or Tough Stuff and covers recent prices, but I rarely look at them. I haven't even opened these last couple. So you can see here my membership is about to expire in 1 day. I'm gonna let it expire and purchase again when I've collected enough cards to warrant paying the membership fees. And here are the prices without a membership. It's $50 US per card if you don't have a membership, so it's expensive either way. With membership, it's as low as $18 US a card, and right now I'm using a special promotion to unlock 15. Though look at the prices for high-end cards. 10 grand to grade a card, $250,000 and up. Okay, let's look at creating a submission. And this is really easy to do. In the top right corner, hit submit. Then from this page, click start. This takes you to the online submission center dashboard. And you can see I've got 2 orders ready to go. But if I want to create another order, I just click start new submission. Then choose which type of card you're submitting. There's different sized cards or sealed packs or tickets or coins. I choose the first option. And this includes different sizes, patch cards, and from a bunch of different eras. Then choose between grading, review, crossover, or reholder. And then there's a few more choices for autograph grading or authentication. And even though I'm submitting this Elias Pettersson autograph from 2018-19 The Cup, I'm not going to bother to get the autograph graded. Oh yeah, and this is how I submit a thicker auto or patch card. There was a viewer who asked about this in one of the previous videos because obviously like a thick card like this won't fit inside of a card saver. So for the rare times I submit a thick auto patch, I'll just use a thick top loader like this. So I just choose the top choice, hit next, and that takes you to the different service levels. And this is where you can see the price per card goes up from as low as $15 US to as high as $10,000 per card. So I'm choosing the Modern Sports Bulk Special. This includes cards from 1996 to present. So unfortunately, my 1990 O-Pee-Chee Premier Yager is not going to make it into this order. And you have to submit a minimum of 10 cards. Then click Next, and on this page, here's where you enter in the card info. It auto-populates, which you can see as I add in the info for Valerie Nichushkin Future Watch Auto. Now the part that can be confusing is what to enter for the declared value total. This is supposed to be based on what you think the value of the card will be after it's been graded by PSA. The tricky part is you don't know what the grade will be, so it's your best guess. And an autograph card that's been handled by a player, I think is just even more difficult to guess. I put in 75, but at the time of the recording, I couldn't find a recent sale of a PSA slab, so you can see how subjective it is. For this special, the max declared value is $199 US. So I think they just don't want you putting in McDavid Young Guns or a Future Watch Auto or something that's like in the thousands. So maybe I'm sneaking in a Jack Hughes clear cut, but as I was putting this order together and I was looking to see if I could find any comps, there weren't actually any PSA sales. So I think the main thing is just don't abuse the system, otherwise you'll probably get an upcharge. I like to organize my submission in order, starting at the lowest year and working up. I also organize them in order they appear in the set. I like the appearance of it, and I think it just helps organization on the other end. All right, now it's time to book the order. And once you're done entering in all the cards for your submission, click Next. They've recently partnered with Golden, so you have the option to store your graded cards in a vault. I assume it's similar to how you can store your cards with PWCC and then trade and buy and sell, and you don't have to actually hold on to them. Or you can choose to have them shipped back to you, which is what I do. So for this order I'm putting together, the insured shipping for 12 lower value cards is $50 US. PSA ships with FedEx and it usually arrives to my door in about a day or so. If you hover over the question mark here, there's more info about shipping insurance. Near the bottom of the page, you can choose between two options. Insured shipping, which is PSA shipping back to you, and they charge you for the cost, or alternate return shipping, which is you using your own FedEx account. So I do have my own FedEx account, but I've always kept it simple and chosen the option where PSA ships it back and sets it all up. So I don't know how much I'd save if I used my own FedEx account, but for a recent 41 card order, the cost was $59 US. Then you have to accept the terms and conditions of the international shipping policy, and we'll cover this in more detail once we get to the Canada Post section. And after you add your credit card info, on the next page you accept terms and conditions. One thing to note is that you won't be charged until PSA receives and processes your order. They used to actually not charge until the grading process was complete and they were ready to ship back to you, but that changed somewhat recently. The pandemic caused such a huge backlog, like a year or two to get cards back, and they had some issues of trying to collect from some larger submissions. So that's something that has changed over the last little bit. Then click Next and your submission form is complete. You'll come to this page which outlines the steps to prepare and package your shipment. And there's a few key points to mention on this sheet. So they want you to put your cards in the same order that they appear on the submission form, or you'll be charged an extra 5%, because they want to keep things as organized and as streamlined as possible. You print 2 copies of this page and include both of them inside your package. There's a barcode that you need to print out and stick to the outside of your package. Well, this document provides 2 addresses that you can ship to. One is if you're using US Postal Service. You can choose this if you want to ship using Canada Post. And 2, if you want to ship with FedEx. I ship to both addresses, but I think I like using Canada Post the best. And that's what this video is about. All right, this section is pretty simple. You're just packing up your cards so they're safe, secure, and organized. So for me, I use some cardboard and painter's tape and make sure that the cards are in proper order. And I write a few things in Sharpie to keep things as organized as possible for whoever will be opening this package. And I always put my cards inside a Ziploc bag, just to protect from any accidental water or moisture seeping in. So I'm sending in 2 orders together this time, which is my 26 cards and also my 2 1979 Oilers postcards of Gretzky and Messier. All right, now it's time to choose a box to ship with. And I like to make sure my cards aren't going to get crushed accidentally. Maybe it's a bit overkill, but I've chosen 3 different size boxes. And once you've got your packages selected, it's time to get the weight and box dimensions. You'll need this info for booking the shipment. I use a digital scale that I bought off of Amazon and a tape measure. And it looks like this package weighs about 857 grams, and I always add a bit more just to be safe. And this helps account for the packing tape and shipping label and a few other things. Then figure out the dimensions, and you're on to the next step. Okay, now on to booking with Canada Post. I book all my shipments online, so for this you need to sign up for a free account. Once you've done that and you're logged in, at the top of the page, choose Sending, then Ship Online. Then create a shipping label and create new shipment. On this page you'll fill in sender address info. So this is just your personal address and your contact info and things like that. Then fill in the deliver to info. As we discussed before, PSA provides 2 addresses to ship to. One address is used if you're going to ship with FedEx. And this address is used for when you ship using US Postal Service or USPS. Because Canada Post has a relationship with USPS, you can ship packages to the US, and once it hits the border, USPS takes over and finishes the delivery. The same goes for packages coming from the US. Canada Post will take it from the border and deliver it to the Canadian address. And if you've sold on eBay and sent a package to a US address, it works the same way. And I recently tested a small, low-value 10-card order just to make sure, and it worked out with no issues. And so you can see that the PSA info is still auto-saved from my last shipment. For the contact info phone number, PSA doesn't provide one, so I just use my cell phone. Next, you put in your package details. I choose to ship with a box. Then we type in our box dimensions. And then you're on to choosing the shipping service. And you get a few different options. For this shipment, I chose expedited parcel. This gives pretty fast shipping, though the exact date isn't guaranteed. And it also includes $100 of insurance. You also have the option to add additional insurance. And one very important note surrounding liability coverage is that the max amount is $1,000 Canadian. On the Canada Post website, it says you can buy additional liability coverage up to $5,000, but that's for packages shipped within Canada. So for international packages, including shipments to the US, the max is $1,000. So I think that's kind of a big deal. So for this shipment, I could only be reimbursed for $1,000. I think for the next time I would create 2 shipments and double my shipping cost and ship separately, because that gives me the option to have $2,000 worth of insurance. I just have to bite the bullet and pay a little bit extra. Anytime I ship sports cards in the mail, I know I'm taking a risk, but I just wanted everyone to be aware of the $1,000 max insurance. So maybe this changes in the future. Maybe we have the option to insure up to $5,000. Let's hope so. I have a McDavid Young Guns that's been sitting in this card saver for a few years now, and I'm not sure if I'll ever bite the bullet and send it in for grading. Or if I do, I guess I'll have to send it separately. For the record, I think it's a PSA 9. It looks pretty clean, but maybe just a few little tiny things around the edges. So question here, have you shipped a $2,000 or a $5,000 or $10,000 card to PSA? Or Beckett or SGC? Going from Canada? How do you insure it? Let me know in the comments, because I am curious to know. Oh, and a little side note. So a while back I sold an Auston Matthews Canvas Young Guns on eBay that got stolen. And the buyer said he never received it and that somebody signed for it and stole it. I had shipped with FedEx and I had a lengthy back and forth with both eBay and FedEx and the buyer. Maybe I'll do a story on this someday, but needless to say, it was a gigantic headache and opened my eyes to the importance of insurance and using tracked shipping. Okay, now back to the show. So I was able to insure this package for $1,000 Canadian and the additional cost was $22.50. And you can see they wouldn't let me insure for more than $1,000. All right, now on to the customs part. You'll always need to fill this out anytime your package is crossing the border. And you can see that some of the info is still auto-saved. So for non-delivery instructions, make sure you choose return at sender's expense. That way if there's ever a problem with delivery, they'll ship it back to you. You just have to cover the costs. Then you choose the reason for export. I choose other, and you can see I've put sports cards not sold, returning to owner. This helps show the customs agents that this is not a sale and there shouldn't be any duties and taxes. Next, you fill in the package contents. This is where you enter the names of each individual card you're sending. And I'll start with the 2013 Nutrition Future Watch Auto. For the unit value, I just make the value match the declared value of my PSA order. I know technically Canada Post wants the price in Canadian dollars and the PSA forms are in US dollars, but I haven't run into any issues so far. After you've entered this, click Add. And apparently you can add up to 500 items. Next, I'll add in the info for an Elias Pettersson Young Guns. And once you've added in all the cards, it'll look something like this. On the right hand side, you can see your costs, which totals for me $60.34. Click Add to Cart, and on this page, you can double check the address, shipping service, and insurance coverage. Then click Go to Checkout, and then you just type in your credit card info. So the total for me for this shipment of 24 cards and the 2 Oilers postcards was $60.34. Not sure why I wasn't charged for taxes, but everything for this order went smoothly. You should now be able to print out a shipping label, which looks like this, and the customs form. And just remember to make sure you sign the customs form. You also have to hand deliver this to the post office to have it scanned. I don't think you can drop this off in the mailbox. So the final bit to note is that PSA provides you with a barcode to attach to the outside of the box. So cut this out and stick it on with packing tape and just make sure it's not covered by the shipping label. Then take it to your local Canada Post location and you're ready to rock. Okay, so here are the final costs. I submitted 24 cards at $15 US per card for a total of $360 US. I also paid $30 for each postcard for $60 US. Now I also had to pay two different shipping prices, $54 US for my 24 card order and $46 US for my 2 postcards. So this kind of sucks, but it's because they're considered separate submissions and they'll actually be returned to you at different times in separate shipments. So that's why you have to pay twice. So in total I paid PSA $520 US, which is around 710 Canadian. So for the Canada Post costs, the shipping service I chose was Expedited Parcel USA. I also chose to add insurance, which cost me $22.50 for $1,000. So in total, to ship my 24 cards and 2 postcards, I paid $60.34 Canadian. However, just remember, if something was to happen to my shipment, lost, stolen, or damaged, the most I would be reimbursed for would be 1,000 Canadian. And as I mentioned earlier, depending on what cards are in my submission in the future, I might consider shipping in a different way to maximize my insurance coverage. But leave a comment if you have any better ideas for maximizing coverage. I'd appreciate that. One other final cost to mention is the duties and taxes paid on the PSA service. So for my recent 10 card order, I paid PSA $150 US to grade these cards. So I paid an additional $24.50 Canadian for this service, $10.21 GST and $14.29 PST. And this is not to be confused with paying taxes as if I purchased these cards. This is just being taxed on the service and cost of grading fees. So the final total equals roughly 855 Canadian. PSA costs were 710, Canada Post about 60, and estimated taxes, or 12% of 710 Canadian, is about $85. And since I plan on selling a bunch of these, I always like to break it down to cost per card. So for my 24 card order, the cost per card is approximately 29 Canadian per card. And for my 2 1979 Oilers postcards, the cost is about 84 Canadian per postcard. Oh, and because this video took me a long time to make, my order's actually come back already. So keep an eye out for the reveal video. And I hope this clears up a bunch of questions and makes this process feel a little less daunting. Just know that once you do one shipment, it all makes sense and it becomes pretty simple. Hey, and if you found any value in this, I'd appreciate if you give the video a like, drop a comment, and maybe consider subscribing to the channel. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.